Who's panicking?
Here's
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll discuss.
Schwitzing.
Here's an example of our panic meter here. In the middle, we have neutral. Then we have at ease. And then we have full chill, as in you're not remotely panicked about them. On the other side, we got worried in orange there. It's because you've seen some bad signs of the team. And then the red, you got full stage panic. I'll be a little surprised if anyone uses that. It's a little early, but yeah, you never know. We've offered a scale for this time out. The way it's going to work is one of the guys is actually going to get teed up on one of these. They're going to decide, we'll chat. But you as well in the chat. I'm going to be looking. You're going to decide whether or not you agree with us because, your vote on this counts. So by now. But let's start this off. And we're going to start this off with the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, no.
Sitting at 0-4. Oh, yeah. Sitting at 0-4. No team has surrendered more goals than the Avalanche. Luca, what has happened and what is your level of panic with this team?
Okay. Can I start with what's happened, how we've gotten here so far? Let's
what
start
we're
with
here
that
for.
because we've got some time and these are things that grievances I've wanted to air out for a while, because it's been eating away at me internally that they're 0-4 to start this season, which is not what anyone expected. Nathan McKinnon's talked about it a couple times already where it's like, he's just like, why can't we ever be healthy? Like every season at the start of the season for at least the last few campaigns here, they've had some kind of big injury that has not allowed them to play at full strength. And usually they're pretty good at it. Like they've been used to being able to play well in the face of all of this adversity, all of these injuries, whatever. But that's not easy to do. And I think we take that for granted a little bit. And I think Avs fans have in the past where it's like, they've done this before, but they have $40 million of salary cap space in the press box right now with
That's why.
Lehkonen,
That's a huge
with
number.
Nichushkin, with Landeskog. Devin Taves is hurt as well right now. So you're relying on a lot of different line combinations, and McKinnon and Rantanen and Makar have been outstanding, but Jared Bednar has changed his lines up a lot because he's still looking for the combinations below in the lineup that are going to lead to a more well-rounded team. I think they've played 3 good games out of the 4 they've lost, and it just hasn't gone their way based on a lot of bad goaltending.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a name we haven't heard yet that I assumed you would have led a lot of this with.
Alex Georgiev, and I don't want to be too harsh because I think that he's been not great for sure, but I also think that as good as the Avs have been underlying numbers wise, and McKinnon also alluded to this, he's like, the analytics are good. He's like, they're a very analytical team. They have meetings.
Do you actually
about
think
it.
he sits down and just after the game, he's like, honestly, I don't even care that we lost. Look at our XG.
I don't think he does that,
XG.
but I know the coaches, I've read an article about it, how the coaching staff has analytical meetings where they show and present some of these numbers to be the process is good, it's going to turn around, but he's just at this point, he's just we need to just win some games. So I totally get that. But Georgiev hasn't been good, and defensively, I think that Makar has been a little underwhelming, and he has said so far to this point as well. All in all, though, I'm neutral right now.
You're neutral. You're going to give it a neutral.
Avs fans are in full panic.
Yeah.
I see it on Twitter. I see you Avs fans. I'm in neutral right now because this has... You could lose 4 games at any point in the season and go on a 4-game losing streak and just as easily bounce back. They've got the Ducks tonight. They've got some easier schedule teams coming up with the Ducks, the Sens, Ottawa, I just said, Seattle. These are different than the Bostons and the Vegases of the world.
Luca's had his say here. Do you guys kind of agree with that? Neutral? Would you be feeling neutral on the panic meter if you're an Avs fan right now?
I just feel like the Avs have enough solid stars on their team to get them back to a position where they'll be in a playoff spot, and I think that will happen down the stretch. What I would be worried about, though, is the goaltending. I think Georgiev he's concerning between the pipes right now, and you're right, maybe he's getting a little more exposed because there's so many dollars in the press box right now, and that's having an effect on him as well. But, I mean, this guy's been really not good, and, I mean, starting, again, it's a 4-game losing streak. It's still 4 games out of 82 games, and I don't know. I don't know if I would I think neutral is appropriate, but there are definitely reasons to be worried
Yeah.
about the Avalanche.
It's a level-headed approach from Luca. And Thomas, you kind of in agreement there?
Like, I think Luca made a great point about you can lose 4 games from December, or in January, and no one's going to really make a big deal about it. But the one thing I'll say from the goaltending side of things is it's not just 4 games. Like, this is a long-stemming issue that we've seen.
He ended the year under 900, right? And in the playoffs,
I remember.
under 900.
I'll never forget your reaction to the first playoff game.
Well, the first playoff game was a disaster, but after that, he was actually solid in the playoffs, which was a surprise to everyone. Because after that first game, it was just a disaster.
Jesse's about to take it back.
In fairness, the Avs just worked the Jets in that series from
sure.
top to bottom after game 1. We got worked.
You were real positive in the beginning. I remember the energy.
Even in that Dallas series, though, he was fine enough where I was like, he's not the problem. He's not the reason we lost.
And that's literally what the Avs need out of a goalie,
Yeah.
as you've shown already with
And
Kemper.
that's kind of why I'm not worried, because like the Edmonton of this last year, where they started like 5-12-1 and were last in the division and then almost won the division after, is like the Avs have enough talent still. They're gonna get players back. They just need to at least go like 500 now and just win a few games with these guys out to be able to get back in it.
Hopefully Nichushkin can come back, as he's such an X factor for that team.
Chat, we are turning to you in this case to see what you think about that. Do you think, where would you put the Avs? Neutral, at ease, worried, panic, full chill? I want to see what you're doing there. And again, we see your comments here. One of them I absolutely love because it's the inverse of, if you're a footy fan, which I know we are in the room in here. Someone says
Arsenal fans right here beside me.
Yeah.
Converted Arsenal fan.
No,
Yes.
I don't even know why I
I'm
said
not
yeah.
a converted
We'll sing it
Arsenal
later.
fan.
Yeah.
Big game tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's a fan from the UK there. I missed your message here now, where your actual name is. But he was saying he's in reverse. He's watching this later at night now. You can enjoy this because it's already nighttime for them.
Yeah.
Everyone else was like, 10 a.m. is kind of nuts for this. He's like, oh, yes, bring that on.
Don't worry. We know. We watched the Sunday nighter between the Steelers and the Cowboys at 5 in the morning in London when we were there.
It's a lot of worries in the chat, by the way.
A lot of worries.
I see more worries than anything else, but there are some people who think that neutral was fine. And then someone says Avs are dead. That was the
Yeah, no.
Are you worried at all that they
I-
don't have enough depth in their bottom 6 on offense, even when they're healthy? I know right now, like, there's a ton of players, like you mentioned, 40 million dollars in the press box, but their bottom 6 in general at full strength, because I know that's a strength for a lot of great teams.
Not really, honestly, because ideally, like in an ideal world, their bottom 6 is Ross Colton. Like the third line specifically is Ross Colton, Miles Wood, Logan O'Connor, and that's been one of their best like analytical lines, most consistent lines. That style of play, like Miles Wood is so fast and strong on the forecheck. Like I love Ross Colton. He's stepped up in every spot in the lineup so far, and like he's been playing great on the first line this season. So like when everyone's at full strength, I'm actually not worried about it. Right now, though, relying on those guys to be key contributors with so many other people out, and I think also part of it is like they've relied on Richie and a couple of other younger guys to be really good right away, and it just hasn't worked out, and that makes sense. Like Richie's never played an NHL game before. His defensive details aren't where they should be, and that's going to come with experience and time. But being relied on to be like a second line player right away was maybe a little
ambitious. A little ambitious.
for sure. Yeah,
Well, let's stay in the Central. Also sitting at 0-4.
love to see it.
There was a whole lot to be excited about with the Nashville Predators heading into the season. They made a number of key acquisitions. They started off the year by reminding us that when you win the offseason, it doesn't necessarily just gel right at the beginning. Jesse, what should the level of panic be in Music City?
Are they on life alert?
All Nashville
no.
Predators need life alert.
I mean, 0-4 is life alert.
yeah.
I'm gonna say that the Preds should be worried. I'm not gonna say full panic yet, simply because I feel like we got to give this new core a little more time to gel. And let's also remember that Nashville wasn't a great team, and then that whole thing happened with the Sphere last year, and then they went on a heater. Like this team is
I like how that's like a real thing. Like,
I was gonna
the
say,
Sphere.
well, no.
is and I
Is
know
you two
it's
playing in
fun.
Vegas?
Yeah.
The-
Get them to
no,
the
you know
show.
what? There's
Get them to the
actually-
show now.
There's the craziest EDM festival going on at New Year's in Vegas,
And that's full panic
us
mode. That's
headlining
full
it.
panic mode if you're in there.
They should show up to Vegas, get tickets, but not go, and then just see how their season plays
how it
out.
goes.
But honestly, the reason why I bring that up is because this team is capable of rallying, and that's even before they got Stamkos and Marchessault and Brady Shea. But I mean, there are so many reasons to be concerned right now as well. First of all, this team prides itself on defense. They've not been playing well defensively, and Saros has been not good this year so far. 11 goals through 3 games that he's allowed, and you're already starting to worry as well. Is trading Askarov, was that the right move? I know it's early, and obviously Saros is great, and
he takes some time to warm up too. Saros, he's like a historic slow starter.
Of course, but if we're basing this off of what we've seen, you can't help but think, as a Preds fan, like, did we make the right move here? Obviously Stamkos doesn't have a point through the first few games.
Saros does, by the way.
Yeah, and Marchessault has been like decent, not great. But I think this team's showing that if guys like Stamkos and Marchessault aren't going to step up, like, the depth really isn't there to make up for those guys. Like, I think Nashville's averaging the most goals, they're tied for last in the league for goals for per game. I think they're averaging 2 goals per game, and I think they're like second or third last in the league in goals against. I think they might be averaging like 4.5 goals per game against, and I mean, you can't help but just be worried right now. If you're Nashville, they're almost at full panic, but it's just a little early. And again, this team showed that it is capable of rallying. But I mean, they should not be feeling good. This is a team that prides itself on defense, and they are bleeding goals right now.
I got a question for you. Do they, at the very least, if you want to have a little bit of a silver lining for any Predators fans out there, do they at least feel like a team that after 82 games they do squeak in with what they have experience-wise? You totally maybe flip your mind on them and say, like, you know what? I don't even care about the regular season because of the personnel that they have in there. Would you at least be excited that if they made the playoffs, then you think that would be almost like a different team? Because that feels like what they tried to sign up for. Yeah. It's like, we'll get in. I don't necessarily think we're going to do that well in the Central, but good enough that we'll get in. And then what we have, it's like we got a lot of experience.
Yeah, I think Nashville's a team that if they sneak in as a wild card, especially if they get hot towards the playoffs, they are probably a team that you don't want to play. I mean, that kind of happened with them last year, but then they ended up losing to Vancouver, who we didn't give enough credit to, in fairness, going into the playoffs. But yeah, like, would I be that surprised if Nashville found a way to turn things around and then got hot heading into the playoffs, and they have guys like Stamkos and Marchessault who have already found their stride finally towards the end of the year? Yeah, like, I think Nashville could be a scary team to play against, but it's all about getting there first. And there are some decent teams in the Central. I mean, Dallas is looking really, really darn good. And yeah, I know what Pac's going to say. You don't win in the NHL through free agency, but a
lot of people do as well say that.
Yeah. We're 4 games in. There's lots of reason to worry right now, but I'm not going to hit the full panic yet, simply because, again, I think this team has shown that it's capable of rallying. And of course, it's going to take them a little time to click as a new core.
Well, Silly Goose has said, really worried about the Preds, but rooting for them to turn it around. There's a few people in the chat that feel more worried. I'll ask you guys a little bit later on here, but how about you guys? Would you say worried? Is that where you'd feel?
I think
panic
it's
level-wise?
fair to give them a little bit more time to breathe and get some more games under their wings, given that there's so many new players. But to be honest, I never really bought into the ceiling of this team from the get-go anyways. I didn't think they'd be winless through 4 games and one of the last teams to win a game in the NHL, but like Jesse said, like you alluded to, my stance on free agency, signing a bunch of players in their mid-30s, some players even in their late 30s, I just don't think that instantly creates a window for excellence when already your core was at best like a wild card area. And I think to your point of fearing them in the playoffs, I like that's one way to go about it because they have that experience, but you also put yourself in a really tough position when you go into the playoffs as a wild card team, just with the matchups that you're going to run into. So I think worried is a safe space for them right now. Do I really believe in them this year? And then more importantly, like the next 3-4 years, just with the contracts that they handed out?
Not as much.
Not really.
You're a little concerned.
But
or worried.
For me, it's all about expectations. And where I kind of see them is just like wild card, maybe get into the playoffs, nothing all that more. And I still think that they can achieve that.
Okay.
But going back to what you were saying, Z, like, I do think that, again, if this team does manage to squeak in and find some sort of stride heading into the playoffs and they get there, I think there is something to say about having guys like Stamkos and Marchessault on your team. Like, those guys are, you're right, Z. Like, you kind of sign those guys for the playoffs. But
they're April, May, June signing.
Yeah.
But of course, you got to get there.
Has, in my opinion, probably stronger players. Like the top contenders in the West.
Yeah, but like guys who can get it done in the playoffs necessarily. Like those are two guys that can get it done in the playoffs.
Well, just Kachucking around his adversity early in the season is what championships are built on. I think one thing that you guys aren't factoring as well, they got someone as a GM that's going to just come down and coach this team most likely, it feels. They're like, you know what?
Well, Andrew Burnett's a great
down
coach.
there. He's a great coach.
Andrew Burnett's a great coach, and that's why this whole thing's a little surprising. I feel like there's a lot of pressure probably on the core right now to perform well, and I feel like they will eventually evolve out of this slump and kind of find their rhythm at some point of the season.
Yeah. Moving on from one team. Actually, Chad. Sorry, we have not given you your say in there. What would you put for the Nashville Predators? We have put them as worried. I see a lot of people saying panic in here as well already. But, yeah, what would you put the Nashville Predators down? And while you're doing that, seeing some full panics already.
I would say like a very worried.
Yeah, I think I would agree on that one. Now let's go from a team that's quite old to the literal youngest team in the league. It's been 13 years since the Sabres have made the playoffs, and it's already starting to feel like it might be 14 with the team off to a 1-4-1 start. 3 points out of a possible 12 to start the year. What should the level of panic be in Buffalo? That's me teeing me up for this. So Jesse brought this up, like he pitched them as a team. I want to say it was 2 days ago. It was a fresh off the Penguins loss, or was it before the Penguins? I don't even remember. Might have been right after that. And I was kind of like, oh no, the thing of the Penguins wasn't great. It's like whatever. I've completely turned around on that. Like, I don't want to be an alarmist here, but I watched that Blue Jackets game last night. And the thing that you thought after the Pittsburgh game, which is when you lose in such a gutting fashion, where it's the same thing, where in the moments where you really need them to lock in, either at the end of periods or at the start of periods, where young teams make those mistakes and don't have any confidence, they keep doing that. And when you're already this far behind, and I say this, I get it, it's only a few points, but you're at the bottom of the Atlantic, which is merciless already as a division, and you constantly are there. You got to be at least worried. At the very, I know a lot of people are already full panic. I will just say worried, mostly because of that bracket there. There's more than enough bad signs. It's weird. Like, they finally have a third line that works. Like, I know no one was really that excited about the Ryan McLeod trade. He actually has looked great. That whole line, Jordan Greenway, has been, exceptional. It's the guys that they've kind of locked up to these longer deals that you're waiting for that next step. Again, not calling people out, but it's like the Cousins, where he's had a really tough start to the year. Owen Power, not a great start to the year necessarily either. Even Dahlin, he had a really rough night last night. And when you're just a young team where it's the culture that everyone keeps looking at, and it's the situation of how long can people just be in an environment where they lose and before they learn, that's what I'm scared of. Because when you start like that right away, it's a huge mountain to overcome. But I open the floor to you guys.
I am not even. It's not even full panic for me. I'm just I give up.
Like the
I
meter's
give up
broken.
on the meter's broken. I actually just give up on the Sabres. They have proven, and I feel I don't want to criticize the organization. Well, I mean, at least the fans. The Sabres have such great fans, and I think that goes without saying. So much respect to Sabres fans, and I feel bad that you guys have to year in and year out just watch this team just settle for worse than mediocrity. Just settle for being bad every year. And why is it that all these players, it's like this team they went through a rebuild stage, and then the rebuild stage didn't work, and now they're rebuilding again, and it just seems like it's still going nowhere. Guys like Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel go to new teams. Ryan O'Reilly, they immediately find their stride with other teams. They've all won Stanley Cups. It's what is going on with the Sabres? It just seems like there's something really. I don't know. I don't even know how to say it. But I'm so done with having any sort of hope with the Sabres. They're so poorly. Are they even I want to say they're poorly managed, but it just seems like all these players that they're putting a lot of money into, it seems like it makes sense to do all these, to sign all these contracts, and then it just doesn't work out. And also goaltending. The goaltending has been atrocious for Buffalo this year. And that's something that we thought would get a little better.
Yeah.
Into this year, and it just hasn't.
When you have two young goalies, it's like you're risking a lot. I still think that won't be as highlighted by the end of the year. Like I don't think that Levi or Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen are going to be the reason that they keep losing. But yeah, I just think as a whole, like they don't have. They're missing. It feels like a person. It doesn't even necessarily have to be like a top goal scorer. That'd be great. Take one of those too. But it's just like someone to really just like take it by the scruff of the neck, because they're just, that Columbus game yesterday was crazy. Like if you watched it, it was just back and forth. They'd get back into the game and literally a minute later, they would just score on them. Columbus. And it was just like, there's just that mental lapse where it's not that they're not trying. Like I know people say that all the time. It's like, it can honestly sometimes be the opposite when you're just overdoing it. Like you look at someone like Cousins, like you can tell that guy cares and he's going around, but it's like you kind of just are skating hard at people. That doesn't mean you're thinking and making the right plays and doing the right thing. If anything, you're playing almost out of fear, which is just, that's why I'm already pretty worried about them. The chat, I think, has already agreed. They're in full panic mode and worried.
This might be controversial. I'm kind of like neutral at ease.
Oh my goodness.
That's insane.
In a way where wait. In a way where, and we talked about it on the tier list, and maybe it was me and you that we're just like, we don't expect this team to be good this year.
Yeah, but that's the
You
problem.
That's
how
not,
long have we been expecting the Sabres to be good? It's like
I don't think that's obviously an organizational problem going back a lot of years. That's fine.
You didn't think they were going to make, heading into the year,
this was the one year that I looked at everyone after their first line of like, it's Tage and Tuck and you've got Cousins, but it's just like you're relying on a lot of young guys like with Jack Quinn and with...
You didn't even have them in like a wild card
Benson.
fight.
No, not at all. I didn't think this team was good enough on paper to be there.
I understand it, by the way. I'm just saying, like, I get it. I mean, all you're saying is your expectations are so low, which hurts actually even more.
It's not that they were low. It's more just like when you look at teams kind of in a similar spot with a lot of young guys that have grown up in this team together with, like, if you're going to use Ottawa as an example, defensively, like you've got Shabbat and you've got Sanderson, like Darlene, Power, whatever. You can compare a lot of the pieces 1-to-1, but it just seems like Ottawa has surrounded their group with like veterans that also have some more skill, and their young players have maybe developed a little quicker and turned into stars a little faster. And obviously Zach Benson, like, and Jack Quinn, we didn't expect those guys to be like Drake Batherson level already. Like they're still really, really young.
Wait, Quinn got taken out of line. Like Kulik, at least, the very least, they have young players who
for sure.
Doing
I think it's just going to take them a little longer now. Again, we can argue about the organizational stability in that sense, where it's like, okay, it's another round of like, okay, you've drafted prospects that I think a lot of people like. Now they have to take the steps that obviously doesn't happen overnight, and it's going to take some time. We can argue about the merits of like how they've gone about this, of trading their stars and being backed into these positions. I think we can also argue about the merits of like, why did you hire Lindy Ruff again? Like
I understood it when it happened. I was excited. Like I got it. It kind of felt like they were giving Granato the PE teacher vibes treatment, where they're like, cool, man. Like they all smile when they go to work, and people retire that. That's a tough job. So when you got fired, you don't want to see anyone get fired. But the only reason you thought that maybe Lindy might be the guy was because you wanted maybe like a more stern voice in the room. But anyways,
it just
let's move on to the next team.
It's the recycled coaching that just bothers me in these situations where it's like Lindy Ruff didn't have great success in New Jersey, and now you're bringing him in to coach a team that, again, has a lot of young talent like New Jersey did, and he wasn't able to get the best out of that group, and now you're expecting him to turn around a team that had less promise than the New Jersey Devils.
It's a joke.
It's a joke, yeah, ironically. Two things in the chat real quick. Nick Levin, who said, I wonder if Buffalo should just try to sacrifice some of their future to get themselves into the playoffs. That's actually a very popular idea of just like do something short term, but it feels so crazy to do that. But I understand the logic of wanting to do that.
They've been
maybe not
rebuilding
doing
for
it.
14 years.
To me, that's the problem, because now if they don't get in this year, it just feels like they have to.
It feels wasted.
They also just
like rebuild again.
And like, good. McLeod is off to a good start. Like, good for him. And like, who knows? He can end up being a good player. But like, they also gave up a really good prospect in Savoy.
Yes, potentially. We'll see how it plays out, but yes, it was very shocking when they did it. And then the last one, Craig says they had a truly baffling offseason as well. What's the point of buying out Skinner if you're not going to use the cap space? Which, again, yes. It hurts when I watch Skinner on the Edmonton Oilers, because I'm not saying it's like he's the difference, but like,
He's a
some goals in there,
30,
man.
He's a viable 30-goal NHL player, and you just let him walk.
Red Wings. Speaking of teams.
Here we go.
All right, we're done. Yeah, it's enough beating on the Sabres. Let's get into another team. It's them and the Senators who all get lumped together as the teams that are supposed to be taking that next step, and they have not. Now, after missing the playoffs in excruciating fashion in Game 82, Red Wings fans, they find themselves grimacing already, and it's only Game 5. They've also not made the playoffs for 8 straight seasons. Luca's like, I'm not laughing. I'm going to make that clear. I'm not laughing. It's been 8 straight seasons. They're already looking like 9 might be knocking on their door. Last night was a rough one against the Rangers. But Luca, where do you think that the Red Wings fans should be feeling?
Before last night, it was worried. After last night, it's full panic. And I don't know how it can't be. I truly don't know how it can't be.
I didn't change the graphic, by the way. So yours will say worried.
Oh, no, that's fair.
But
that's fair. It was worried before last night, and then last night happened, and now it's full panic because it's just like, I don't. We talked about it on the tier list if you guys watched it. I don't understand the direction of this team. I don't understand. Their best line and their best players have been good. Like Raymond, DeBrincat, Larkin. They've been good. They already split up that line, though, because they're trying to balance things out a little bit, and they put Patrick Kane on the first line, and that's been a disaster experiment so far for them as far as, like, expected goals percentage. That line, near the bottom of the team. Mo Seider playing with Ben Sherratt has been an awful experiment, like we all thought it probably would be, because we are not high on Ben Sherratt being a number 1 pairing defenseman. That is just a bad idea to play with such a young, offensively talented player like Mo Seider. Not going well. Justin Hall's playing on the second pair now with another young guy in Edmondson that we have a lot of high hopes for. And
he had a nice pass last night.
I'm really into Edmonton. I'm really into Seider as well. I don't think that their potentials can be fully realized with the players that they are currently playing with, but this is all of Yzerman's doing. These are players that he has signed and given big money to come in here, and it's just a weird lineup. It's a strange lineup. If this offseason all you did was go out and sign Vlad Tarasenko. That was your big move. That was the move that was going to get you over the top after losing so much in free agency as well. We went over the number. They lost like 70-plus goals out of their lineup last year, and all you did was bring in Vlad Tarasenko and bring in Cam Talbot to secure your creep.
He had a good game, at least one, and then not
so much last night. But what they've done already is they've started 3 goalies in 5 games. Huso has started a game. Lyon has started a game. And Talbot has started 2. What is the direction? What is the plan? You have a young goalie that I think we're all excited about, and I'm not saying throw him in because that obviously can go bad, but like it can't be worse than this, can it?
It always can be.
Which goalie are you referring to?
Sebastian Cossa?
Cossa.
They also have didn't they also draft the guy from Michigan State who played for USA last year?
I have no idea. But all I'm saying is, like, that might not be the solution. That's an easy Band-Aid to put on it where it's like, put the young guy in net like the Sabres did with Levi and just see what you've got in him, for sure. But it truly cannot be worse than what they've been getting goaltending-wise right now. And their numbers for their top players and, like, expected goals percentage for those lines are just abysmal so far to start the year that I'm in full panic. Where does this team go from here? You can't rely on luck again.
Trey Augustine.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I don't know. Does anyone feel differently? We got a lot of flack for where we put the Red Wings in the team.
No, it's weird. Like, listen, like I get it. Like, we all want, and maybe not we. I won't speak for all of you. I would like to see the Red Wings make the playoffs, just because it's like there's such a huge market that it's enough of having them down there. Like, you need Hockey Town to be a hockey town. But I can't help but agree with you after watching last night that at the very least I'd be very worried because it's not a great start. And they started off okay last year, actually. It was actually a decent start that had their fans excited.
They were hot.
And there was a reason for it, and they collapsed in March because I think Larkin was injured, and so it really kind of gave you hope. But it also feels like their fans are pretty at Lalonde as well, which is not
fair.
His seat might be hotter than any other coaches in the league right now. Yeah. I just want to say, though, that, like, I think Detroit has reason to be excited for their future. Do I think that the makeup of I agree with you, Luca, on, like, the current makeup of their team is not great. Like, it's like a mix of, like, old and, like, guys that are coming into the league, and like it just seems like it's just all not really coming together very well. But they do have some really good prospects to be excited about. And Kane's probably gonna be retired by the time these guys are good, but like Edmondson should hopefully be a good player. Danielson he should hopefully be like a good two-way player for the team. I don't think he uses with skill or anything. I wasn't overly impressed with him, to be honest with you, with the World Juniors, but he should be like a decent two-way forward. And they also have Axel Sending Palika, who's going to be gross. He's going to be disgusting.
I
their power play.
I was sad when we missed out on it. I saw that when the names were going away.
Yeah, they have Wallinder. They've got Marco Kasper. Like, there's reason to be excited as a Red Wings fan. And, like, they have these goalies, too. Like, they have Costa. They have Augustine. Like, I think their crease is actually in pretty good hands going forward. Right now, it's not good, though. Right now, like, the team does not look good. But could they be a team that's, like, good in the next few years? I think so, in 2 to 3 years. But, yeah, their current makeup of their roster is nothing great.
Chat, have at it. What do you think? We've said worried to full panic. Again, I'll go through some of the ones I already kind of see in here. There's Michael Lapierre, who says the Yzer plan's already cooked, which, again, unfortunately, kind of doesn't feel great. Blinker Fluid with a great point. Like, there's a lot of teams that are kind of sucking to start the year, and maybe that, I don't know, it feels more panicky than last year. And because usually you want to pause and go, it's only been 4 or 5 games. But some of these teams we're discussing, like, I do genuinely understand why we're asking the question already this quickly. And I don't think it's just because we're like, nitpicking.
Well, Jesse brought up their prospects. This team isn't supposed to be like a future team.
Point.
This team is supposed to be a now team.
Yeah. Your
And
captain,
they're not.
your first line is filled with guys who are like established players in their prime that are just dying to take this team to the playoffs, and it's just not working.
They're not good enough.
It's just that whole. It's the fear of the void, because for a team that, like you said, supposed to be competing now, we're already looking ahead to the future. And then, is their core of prospects that great where 5 years from now we're going to feel better about them than we do now? I don't know. It's just like, where is the direction?
All right. Well, again, the chat seems to be in agreement. There's a lot of full panics, worries. Seven Curses says, as a Red Wings fan, I never understood why everyone thought they were going to make the playoffs this year. They have been a few years away for a while, and they overperformed last year. I think people are in the middle there, and that's okay too. To the left of my head, the right. There we go. That direction. You're probably seeing right there. It's a little bit of a lineup of what we're doing today. Right now, we're talking about all the teams that we think at least should be considering what their panic meter looks like. And then, as you'll see, we'll be getting on to a bunch of other topics later on. So stick around, because we're going to be live for a full 2 hours. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the new Bar Down channel already, go ahead and do that. That's right. You're watching this on a new channel. It's not on the TSN channel. It's on the Bar Down one.
The more you subscribe, more videos we get to make.
It's as easy as that.
Make some cool, fun hockey stuff. And these graphics on this live stream have been electric. I really like that little graphic on the side of your head there.
Oh, yeah. That's Thomas's work right there.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Incredible
Great to be
work.
here.
Let's move on to a team that I know people are just itching to hear about. It's the other team when we talk about them. People start throwing punches. Whoa! The Vancouver Canucks, which I actually think this is going to be the easiest one of this entire discussion.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. They've been tense between us and Canucks fans, but perhaps not as tense as things have been before Vancouver's OT winner against the Panthers that gave the Pacific Division champs their first win of the season. They're on the board, but some fans still on Petey. Should they be? And how do you think you'd be feeling if you were a Canucks fan after last night's big win, actually?
For the record, personally, from what I remember, I've never really had beef with the Vancouver Canucks. I like them.
They think we're scared of them at this point, which I don't think is the vibe. I think it's more just like prepare for a shoot off.
Yeah. I'm ready.
Right now, first of all, I think last night was a really big win for the team. Like, one that they needed. You beat the defending champs in overtime. It's pretty electric. Obviously you're not feeling quite as hopeful as you were last year, given the way the start of the season's been, but I think they only have one regulation loss the whole year so far. I'm going to say that Canucks fans should be feeling neutral. I think there's reasons to be hopeful that the season can still be good. But I think there's some reason to worry for sure. I think mainly like your goaltending situation. Like, you don't really know. Does anyone know like what's going on with Thatcher Demko when he's supposed to come back.
I don't think they have like an immediate they don't have like
don't
a
have a
hard and
timeline.
fast timeline.
We don't know, and that's the thing, and like that's very concerning.
Chat's already riling up at your neutral.
No, listen.
I'm honestly surprised.
I thought you were gonna.
I was expecting that of the
I was
neutral.
expecting at ease. I
Yeah,
wasn't.
I was
I was.
too.
I was.
No, I mean,
was
look,
expecting.
no. But the reason why I'm neutral is because there is still reason to worry about this team. I mean, again, you look at the goaltending situation.
That's it. But is it like, are you underlining that like they have like faults or weaknesses, or are you saying like, because I think this is like a panic meter of like you're far below expectations.
I don't think saying a team is neutral is like that really panic. I think it's actually, there's reason to be.
You're positively neutral.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like I don't think being neutral is a bad thing, but like also like, hey, I love Petey, but Petey has not been productive this year. You just threw a bag at him, okay, and he just like hasn't been very good. I think Luca was saying yesterday that like Petey has 2 goals in his last 29 games or something. Like that is
0 at 5-on-5.
yeah, that's reason
wild.
that is reason to be concerned, okay? And I don't think Vancouver's been scoring quite like they haven't been scoring at a crazy rate this year or anything. And their top players have been like good, not great. And I think that, the Pacific Division is pretty competitive if you take into account like the Oilers are going to figure it out. Vegas is still a pretty good team. Vancouver should be in that mix, but yeah, I'm not going to say it's like full chill or like feeling pretty good. I would say there's reasons to be like not that excited if you're a Canucks fan, but also like not panic that much.
Chris Nelson has your back on that, by the way. Said, no matter what they say, we disagree.
Yeah, good.
Thanks
for the honesty.
And trust me, we know. So, yeah.
Thank you for the honesty. Yeah, I mean, I don't like, I don't know, like, should Canucks fans be like, oh yeah, like we're making the playoffs?
Yeah, like listen,
know.
they're playing a lot of free overtime hockey, so it's not like
Are
a
people
great.
going at me for doing neutral?
No, it's just people that disagree. It's fine. You're good. It's
Let's go here.
he's pretty bad. But yeah, I don't know. Chat, how are you feel? There's a lot of neutrals I already see in there, but chat, why don't you let us know? We'll come to a nice conclusion. I assumed you're going to put at ease, but after your explanation, I also understand. It's pretty subjective meter anyway.
They just threw a bag at
neutral.
Petey, and he just like has not.
Did he catch it?
Did he catch the bag? Not yet.
We'll see.
He's juggling it.
He's
juggling it. Yeah.
Hasn't
Hopefully
fumbled.
he doesn't fumble. it.
Fumble's not the same. He's juggling it.
We'll figure it out though. I have
Yeah.
confidence in Petey.
Yeah. No, he's a yeah. Well, it's still nice that you have a star player. That's all I'm saying. Anyways. So moving on.
They have several star players.
Yeah, they have enough. Yeah, rub it in a little more. It's fine. That was it. That was all it takes. We had the Oilers in here at some point. I forgot I took that out. Late at night.
I've been sitting here being
You've
like,
been waiting. I just realized actually.
I'm ready for the
No, I'm
Oilers.
sorry.
I'm ready for the Oilers.
I believe Riz, our man on the boards. We have Edmonton graphics.
Put him in.
They won last night, and after they won, I was kind. See, he changes answers, so we won't go with what
I was full chill.
Were you?
Yeah.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, I
Okay.
would've been
Put it up on the screen.
That's why I'm doing the cold.
Is that what we had? He's doing the Cole Palmer. Yeah, well, we'll agree with him anyways. You're going full chill. The Edmonton
They won
Oilers,
again, yeah.
I won't even tee them up because they won again, and it feels a little silly to even really be thinking of them. There we go. He's
Just
got
stop
full
doing this every year, Connor. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's it.
You don't have to lose the first several games of the season just to make it interesting. But no, everything's fine in Edmonton. It'll be fine, and they have 1 goal, and it's playing hockey in June. It doesn't really matter what they do in October.
What are your thoughts? You feel the same way about the goaltending, that it just won't really matter until they get to the playoffs?
Yeah.
Is there any reason to be concerned about the goaltending?
I just think we know what they have. We're not expecting like a Vezina winner in between the pipes. Like if Skinner's just solid, if he gets hot at the right time, like
Made it to the
McDavid.
Cup final with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.